Hello, world. Welcome again to the Enough Talk New Order Rundown. I'm Jesse Grabowski. That's Paul Ashman. Paul,
Paul, I'm the cool one. Me, like me more.
I guess you can tell us who you like more in the comments. We're going to
Yes,
break
sir.
down
I'm
the
going to
dragon.
shamelessly pander for votes. It's that time, Jesse. Election day, just a couple of days away. By the time this goes up, people will be voting for their gubernatorial candidates in the place in the world that matters, which is, of course, the United States. And I don't know what the hell they're doing over there where you are. So, I mean, I'm shamelessly pandering. Vote for me. If you vote for Jesse, he will print cards you hate, like writs and contests.
There was one writ that was almost playable. The
The
one
one
that,
that they redid into official sanction, which they then had to errata. Yes, that is correct, sir.
yep. Okay, so dragon personalities. We're starting off with what I believe to be a huge dud. This is a 3 force for 7 gold with an above starting honor requirement that does nothing. What do you think, Paul?
Right. So you sort of talked me down. We were talking, a little behind the scenes here. We were talking about the cards right before we started shooting this, and I actually was a little bit higher on him than you were, right? Because I played the 3 for 6 Wani Yari, or however you say his name. I know it has one is like the first 3 letters, but he's a 3 for 6 duelist guy that after he wins a duel, you can make a fear equal to his force, which is generally 3. And
Hmm.
I was like, I got, he wasn't great, but it was okay. This guy makes a straight fear 4. But, uh, I think you're probably right. I think that above starting on a wreck in Dragon is a real thing. They have a non-trivial number of 1 PH guys, and it's sort of a conditional jump through hoops to make a Fear 4 effect. And we can go back and forth on how good Fear 4 is. It's playable. It will have some value, but probably just 1 gold too expensive, 2 points on a requirement too high. I think he might. I think he's probably the last guy in my deck and the first one out.
I love that this guy has to create a duel, potentially discarding 4 fate cards in order to do what's printed on the 20 Festival Spider Box.
Right, and it's a real concern, right? So, on one hand, generating a challenge, and this is something we talked a little bit about in one of our videos about sort of the design of duels is shifting in such a way that being able to just make duels to focus your cards, trigger focus effects, that's not nothing. Like there's a way to manipulate that into a positive effect, right? If you're playing Arc and you use his ability and you get your Fortune's charm into the focus pool, and then you get to follow up and you can do tempo advantages and things like this. The problem is the minute you focus a card from your hand to win his duel, you've now played one of your fate cards to activate the fearful on one of your personalities, and now you're really it's starting to get into an ugly zone. There's too much drawn to the triangle here for my tastes.
I agree. Um, yeah, I was the one with the big rant about how focus effects, if they print them in such a way
Yep.
that generating a duel could be a valuable thing. There's 2 problems with that. The first is that they're not going that route at all. In New Order, we've seen only a couple focus effects here and there, and they're all just bow the guy, do nothing focus
Yeah,
effects. Sort
one
of what we've
one
always seen.
honor. Yeah, one honor as a focus effect isn't like that's not an incentive for me, right?
But the second point is that there's plenty of ways to generate duels without a overcosted, undernumbered guy. They have a disciplined duel in Dragon, for Christ's sake, so I don't think that you need to be reaching for this guy to get your duels online if you're playing Swan Tex and breaking the rhythms and uh, your past and all of that stuff.
Yep. So it's one of those cards that you look at and you sort of like try to talk yourself into it, especially if you open it up and it's like a foil rare and you get excited. Like, I got this cool foil rare and it's very pretty art, and you're just like, man, I want to play this card, but it's never gonna work quite the way you want. And there's nothing more noxious than like going through, focusing from your hand at least once, maybe possibly more, to trigger the fear four, and then have them play a courage card and just be like, "Well, this is a nightmare in waiting." I just I see how you could line this card up to make it sort of good, but it's just a couple. The stats are just off, and the traits don't really, it's just not there.
Yep. I believe they'd have to play the courage card on the announcement of the action before you know who the winner of the duel is, which is sort of funny, but not really relevant. Just like, hey, isn't L5R neat?
Absolutely, that's 100 correct. Yep.
All right,
But they
so
can play the courage card and then still force them to focus. So.
yeah.
Okay, on
So
to cheap little guy that I don't understand. I don't like him because I don't know what I'm doing with him. He's a 2/2 for 3 Kensei, so he's destined, but you discard a card unless you're in draft. There's some cards like discipline card you could discard, so I want to like to mitigate that. But Kensei decks can get onto the table a bunch of cheap little person. They've got a bunch of 3/4s for 4 gold guys. They've got guys like Karobe. They've got some. I don't know how this guy's helping me. I don't know what the heck I'm doing with him. So yeah.
I, on the other hand, really like this guy. He gets you through your fate deck. Now he's not going to be played in any normal human being deck. I think he's going to be restricted exclusively to like Jesse Dirtle specials, where I'm trying to bring out like, Panku Hohoa or do some sort of Magistrate Fall dueling. And in that case, he's a Kensei to trigger my.
Says like
He's a Kensei to trigger my Instillness Force of Soul. He cycles, so it basically he's the 3 gold guy. It says one of your cards is karmic and free, and he is a Kensei for Instillness. So that's as much as I can ask for.
If I give him a reserve, recruit him during battle, I draw a card, and then during battle I can discard my thorough preparations and draw. Nah, I don't. I mean, it's just like I don't. A 2/2 for 3 is a perfectly fine personality. There's some number of decks and strategies that are in the market for that, but I don't think any of those decks or strategies are really dragon. I don't think the Kensei trait's going to do much of any. I guess you could play a bunch of cheap. There are a whole bunch of 2 force, 2 gold weapons that you can play now. They're not all Kaioax, but there's some 2-handed ones with expendable traits and Imperial Spearmans and things like this. And just try to build a deck around just being really cheap, low to the ground, and like turn your 2/2 guy into a 4/3 guy. Okay, I guess, but that deck's always going to be better out of Lion. It's always going to be better out of Crane. It's probably going to be better out of Phoenix. I don't get it. I mean, okay, fun design, but I'd much rather him be, if he's a 4/4 for 6, I'm talking about, well, obviously that would be too good, but there's the combination of traits and trigger when you discard. That's a neat thing, but I just don't like it on this cheap wimpy body. I don't know what to do with that.
Okay, moving on to Morimoto Yoritama. Here's another guy that generates a challenge. I think this guy's specifically better than the first guy we saw. His numbers are better. He has a lower honor requirement, and I think his duel is actually better.
Yeah, so the difference between 6 and 7 is significant. Now he's missing a chi. He's not a duelist, but he picks up the Kensei trait. This hasn't been the arc for great Kensei traits. The nature of 2-handed stops the like Warmbone Kadana plus Cursed Relic sort of super unit, and they're the low cost and middle costed 1-handed weapons. I don't think that design has been. They haven't quite threaded the needle properly yet. But give a guy -3 force, potential follow-up action. I'm fine with this card. I mean, he's gonna slot in, and I look forward to playing him until George Lucas sues us for using lightsabers. At which point he'll probably be banned for storyline reasons.
Yeah, force penalties aren't for nothing. There's a lot of duels now that make force penalties. There's one action plus a couple different guys. There's the Lotus one that was sold into Ivory Edition plus this guy. So I think this is a fine card. Anybody that wants to be dueling out of Dragon will reach for him.
I think that you'll see the interaction too. I think we can probably anticipate is sort of this guy, like you play Exquisite Nagamaki of the Fox Clan, and sort of you try to use this to do the force reduction to trigger, your Nagamaki's melee 3. I mean, he's going to pop up. 3 for 6 just ends up in decks a lot more frequently than 3-4 for 7 with the 7 honor requirement.
Indeed. And then we come to one of your favorite personalities, the Tamori Chikyu. My only commentary on this guy...
I'm doing this one under protest, man. I'm protesting. You know what we need to do? We need to drive to Chicago and sit Luke Gregory down and have him talk about it. Because he's really the only guy whose opinion matters. He's the only guy who plays these cards. He's the only guy who cares about this deck. So I don't know what happened. I think maybe Luke Gregory has some incriminating evidence on Brian Reese or something. But, just wait for him. Does it really? Oh, that's too perfect. It totally does. He's a 6th rank Kickstart supporter. That's really a thing that happened. Did you know about it? Are you a Kickstart guy?
Certainly not.
I may have supported it. I just didn't know.
I'm cutting this Kickstarter conversation off. I don't have anything really to say about this card. It's a card we've seen over and over again. Just don't attack me, I gain 1, whatever. It's nothing special. I guess I'll talk about this honor sub-theme that they're giving to every clan via Sensei, that if you don't roll that way, it's really bad for you as far as there's a lot of dead slots in the sets that Spider players and Dragon players and Mantis players end up having 1 to 2 personality slots every single set being taken up by these sort of doofy honor for not honor faction guys, and that can kind of suck as a consumer.
So I'm just gonna hold on. Let me just strap on my thinking cap here. Okay, so I'm pretty sure he fits into the deck. First off, he is a courtier. That's not for nothing. It opens up a subset of cards that the deck might want to play to try to beat other honor decks. The environment hasn't been honor-centric at all. I don't think that's going to change with this set, but it's nice to have access to courtiers, a couple of them anyway. 3 pH is the right pH number that it has to be to get into the deck. And it's you're going to gain an extra 2 or 3 points of honor from him. Especially you can do things like, you have them in multiple and you target their guy twice, and then you play Imperial Summons, and then, haha, he didn't assign to attack, and I gained 2 honor. He'll gain you little bips and blabs, and he's got the Earth trait, which matters a little bit. I think his stats are okay. I don't know, 2 Force isn't whatever.
So from one Earth Shugenja to another, Tamori Daishu, and this guy's a little bit better than the other one we saw, a little bit more aggressive, and he might fit into a number of Shugenja-based aggro decks that are going to start popping up post New Order because spells are so pushed.
The courtesy on this one is probably the most interesting courtesy, right? So in the honor deck, it's 2 honor, which makes him 4 pH for 6 gold, which is good as you're going to get. If you're going second to another honor deck. But if you're playing honor and you go first against like a military deck, then you're just kind of like, well, this guy is kind of But in the military, you get naval. I really like this guy. I think this is just the difference between... This is really just highlights the difference. 3 Force and 4 Chi makes it a lot more acceptable for me to slide this guy into deck. Honestly, if he's 3 pH, he'd probably be in he'd be in every honor deck for sure. As it stands, he'll probably make it in if they're playing this subset of spells that key off Chi. I mean, he Rathavos on a Woes for 4, you blow him up to Redirect and Rage. There's interactions here. So, I mean, I like this guy because good numbers for good gold is always more efficient than lower numbers with a goofy bow to gain an honor ability.
Agreed. Togashi Gozato, this is our last guy. He's the love letter personality.
Their love letter!
Love letter. This guy's awesome. 5 Chi for 7 gold with a 0 honor requirement.
He interacts. It's great because he interacts negatively in the love letter deck, right? He like bows your lion love letter guy and your crane love letter guy. I have no idea why that is. I even have the elf by bar. Is that what it is? I don't. Sure. Whatever. But I think this guy's great because a non-unique 5Chi guy is really good, and he's got all numbers of traits, right? So you can put him in your samurai, like a Dragon Samurai Kensei deck, and put like the one that's like bow your samurai, make a range attack equal to his chi.
Hmm.
You can also just play Wrath of Osan. Well, ranged 5 attacks aren't nothing. They're not great because there's going to be a lot of attachments in the world, but he can also play palm strikes, and he can also has this really useful flexible battle action, and it's not like you don't start with the ring anyway. So, turning your crappy Ring of Fire into something, this almost would let me start the Ring of Fire. I won't, but it almost lets me. You're going to see him in Monk decks, you're going to see him in Samurai decks, you're going to see him in Enlightenment decks, you're going to see this guy. He's a good rare, and he's very wise, apparently.
Yeah,
In fact, do I
his
like him more
trait
as a dual card than the very first guy we previewed? Yeah.
his trait's super relevant. His ability's super relevant for casting Wrath of Asanawo or the the action from last set that gives you a melee attack equal to your chi +1 if you're a traditionalist. He's
Yep.
great. I think a lot of decks are going to end up playing him. And yeah, 5 chi non-duelist is much better than a 4 chi duelist, just because he'll be able to
Yeah,
go.
yep.
He'll be able to just dual
I
trade
mean, I can
5 chi guys. So
if Dragon get a like if like there's also um the Walter White guy, Tamori Wataru was a from A Line in the Sand. He was like a 1 force 5 chi guy for 6 gold. So now Dragon can play 6 5 chi guys at the 6 and 7 gold point. I mean that's a dueling deck. Now their pH is 2. It's not high pH, but if there's going to be some kind of military duel deck, I think it's probably Dragon's place to pursue because they've got some good force and they've got some good chi.
yeah, all right. So those were the dragon personalities. Let us know what you think of them. Leave us a comment, insult us, compliment our
Now, do
videos.
we do we have a broader? So I like Dragon a lot. I don't know if this is what Dragon needs to sort of push through. They've been sort of stuck in the muck, but I think they came out above average here with their cards.
Yeah, they got a number of solid personalities. What this design seems to be pushing them towards is the military dueling deck that you mentioned. It remains to be seen, though, if the duels that we have access to are sufficiently good to make that a real deck. So we don't have steel on steel.
I'm just hoping.
We don't have that good duel you can attack.
Yeah.
We've got weakness exposed, so you can attack, play weakness exposed. But beyond those three, strength remains, but then you have to play a 46 card fate deck, and that's pretty miserable. So we'll see. We'll see where the deck ends up. I'll build the dueling deck and see how it looks. So expect a video on that in the future. Until then,
Hey, Lewis, everybody.
peace.